Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to today's very special report, The End, with remote viewer, Mr. Dick Allgire. You can find his work on YouTube here on his new YouTube channel, Crypto Viewing Number 2. Please do go like, share, and subscribe. And you can find him, of course, on patreon.com/crypto viewing. Mr. Dick Allgire, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you back in good health.
Oh, well, I'm about 70%, 60% in good health. It was almost the end, so it's good to see you, Jean-Claude. I was in bed for weeks. I was really, really sick.
We were all worried about you. Joe did a show on his channel, asked people to send you some love. We did a live healing session with May Levy for you on our show as well. We had singing bowls in there, the whole shebang. So I'm glad you're doing okay. And folks, if you're in the chat now, thank you for joining us here on this live show. And please do send your energy to Dick here as he continues his road to recovery. Dick, a lot is going on. Since you've been on the show last.
Can I talk about a little bit about my experience with that healing energy? Because
sure, absolutely.
Quite profound. My wife got sick with some flu around Mother's Day, and then I came down with it, and I was sick for about 3 or 4 days. Chills, fever, awful in my chest. Oh, terrible stuff in my chest. And then I got better. I was like, okay, kick that. My wife was better, and I went swimming in the ocean. One day I was walking, doing yoga. For about 3, 4 days, I thought I'd kicked it. And then it hit me really hard, and I was really, really, really sick. I was in bed, delirious, 105-degree fever. One day I woke up and there were paramedics in my room in the morning. I was like, God, these guys in white shirts with logos, and these 2 Asian guys, and they're putting me on a gurney. Really? I need some pants. No, we need to get you on the gurney. And then they wheeled me down. I'm in the back of an ambulance, and they're putting oxygen in my nose and gluing electrodes to my chest and doing medical things. And I'm just like, wow. And then they said, okay, let's go. And the siren started. And I was in this like cocoon of the siren outside. And I could see the ambulance like going down the freeway. I was kind of watching it detached. And I go, wow, this gets to the hospital really fast in rush hour traffic, like 3 minutes. It should be about a 20-minute drive. And then some nurse came in with a probe about this long. Like, I go, you're not sticking that up my nose. She goes, we need to do the cuff. I said, no, just take a swab here. And she just forced it like up into my brain. It really hurt. And did that in both nostrils, and I'm laying there. The doctor came in and said, well, you're positive for COVID. Have you been vaccinated? I said, mm-mm. And I saw him, this blackness came over him, and he just was like, and they put me out on put me in a wheelchair and put me out on the curb till my wife came and got me. They didn't treat me. They didn't do anything. They were just like, go home to die. So word got out that I was very sick, and I was really very sick. I was near death. I actually saw, Jean-Claude, my tribute on the Crypto Viewing webpage, my picture with the date of my death, and I went, no.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Wow. Okay, so I don't want to get too much into the gory details of all that, but I heard somebody called me. I was in and out of coherency. I knew there was going to be some effort for like, okay, energy work. And there were a couple points. I think it was happening at late afternoon and early evening Hawaii time, because I was a few times laying there in just horrid pain. And one time I felt fingertips on me. And it was such a physical sensation that I opened my eyes. I thought my wife was massaging me, and there was no one there. And I went, wow, it feels like somebody's touching me. And I laid back, and I could feel someone like putting this warm loving energy under one part of my body and shifting something over, and then other things happening in other places. And I was aware of like, wow, there are multiple people doing multiple things. And I just drifted off on this wonderful love energy, and it like brought me back. It was, I could really feel it. It was a very profound feeling, and I thank everyone. Who was the woman that? Who was the
Actually,
person?
I just found the slideshow. Now I'm going to bring that up for the audience. I brought up, of course, a younger picture of the Tom Selleck lookalike for this healing session, trying to bring you back down to the health from this particular time period. But you were in the Divine Feminine Oracles show. So there was Sophie, Julie, Elena on top there with the singing bowls, Janine, of course, and myself. And you have 24,000 views on that. So there's a lot of people lifting you up in that particular episode.
I'm moved to tears by that.
Yeah.
I could feel that, and there were people from Crypto Viewing did that. Thank you. Wow.
Okay, let's get. Well, thank you, Dick. I don't want to make you cry, and thank you everyone who participated with us in that healing session. We do create magic when we get together with our intention.
Yeah, you definitely do. Thank you, everyone who did that. I felt that. You can
Absolutely.
see a genuine reaction I'm having here to that.
For sure.
I have never been that sick. That was, I give COVID like -5 stars. Just not a, that's a bioweapon. I've never felt anything even close to that. At my age, I've been through a lot of flus and sicknesses, but man, that thing kicked my butt. I'm still...
Watch the keywords there. Watch the keywords there. There's a big purge going on YouTube, as you know. Well, speaking of that, Dick, I want to ask the audience members here too. I'll bring this a new link to your new YouTube channel here.
Yeah.
Explain what happened there. This is recent also for you, this purge here on YouTube. What led to this, Dick? Share this with the audience.
Well, as you've probably seen, and people that saw my old channel, I would do things by sarcasm and innuendo. Like, for example, I know that your channel promotes inclusion, sustainability, diversity, and all that type of wonderful things. And
everything green. Everything green.
We love the green new agenda. We want sustainability, and we need a lower carbon footprint, and we promote all those things. So I would do things on my channel that were a little sarcastic and push the envelope in my own way. And so I think there was some eyes on me. And one of my colleagues, we did a God, what was the program? Oh, we did the Skinwalker Ranch. We remote viewed a UFO event at the Skinwalker Ranch, and we put up a promo that we did not even, we didn't publish it. We just put it up unlisted, and it had copyright material, and they took our channel down. So my channel was gone, all the videos gone. And that was the Crypto Viewing, all one word. The new channel, and I appreciate you helping me out with this, is Crypto Viewing, 2 words. And we've got 7,000 subscribers. I had about almost 37,000. Right. So if people can go there and like and subscribe, I need to go off for 1 second off audio and cough. Just a minute.
No problem. While you do that, I'll bring the link back down in the live chat, bringing up on the window. So guys, that's what you click on. And what I'll do as soon as we finish this live, I'll also put that link at the top of the comment section below our video. So if you're watching on a replay, you'll still be able to click on that link.
Okay.
And go check out Dick's new YouTube channel and new information. Okay. Dick, a lot has changed since you and I talked. We talked a few months ago. It hasn't been that long. But recently, just last week, I did a special show with Bix Weir and Andy Sheckman, and your ears might have been burning because we were talking about one of your old crypto viewing episodes where you were forecasting basically the death of the dollar. And we just moved the needle or the dial a little bit forward here in our actuality and in our news, and we're seeing that a lot of those temporal markers that Cliff High also had pegged with the death of the dollar, the language of that is manifesting very, very quickly. For the audience members here, let's just look at just this last week. And you'll say, wait, isn't that 10 years worth of news? Yes, it is, but it's just in this last week. Of course, big news here, Boris Johnson leaving the stage. This gentleman also having some issues. I'll just leave it at that. In Japan, calls today for this particular guy to resign also. Lots of stress there. We're seeing this RICO trial moving forward here. This is a topic of concern for all of us, including the folks at Crypto Viewing. We're big fans of silver, and we're not so much big fans of the people who manipulate it, but there's something big going on there as well for us. This was in Canada. You can't see the picture there, but of course we had all of our ATMs, most of our restaurants, gas stations, everything wasn't working Friday and Saturday because of an outage at Rogers Telecom. So there's a lot of weird things happening there, big lineups, people trying to get their money. Talking about big lineups, this is a huge crowd of ants moving forward on a presidential palace, of course. You guys know what happened there in Sri Lanka. This was the gentleman here running to get out of Dodge, so to speak. I wouldn't want to be him for sure. Let me bring that one back down. Of course, here, social peace is in great danger. Germany is shutting down a lot of their heating utilities for their people. This is Sri Lanka again. Of course, we have the knives are out here at Washington Post, the New York Times. Suddenly, they're going for blood here. So there's something happening on that level as well. Maybe he will join the colleagues here at the beginning of the news cycle. Here, France, Germany, their leaders are warning their population here to prepare for a total cutoff of some of their energy supply. So again, lots of things happening there. And we have Rome burning. This was kind of odd too. This is also in one of those WebBot data reports. I think you've looked at this as well. The idea that at some point we would get secrets revealed from the Vatican. Of course, I can go on and on and on, but all this to say, Dick, that we're getting closer and closer there, or as the title of our show suggested here today, the end. What do you have recently for the folks here at Crypto Viewing on your Patreon in terms of remote viewing that suggests that perhaps we're getting closer and closer also to that, the supplanting of the old financial system in towards this new world we're moving into of digital cryptocurrencies? Dick?
Jean-Claude, we have a lot of very interesting information. Some of it is based on remote viewing, but prudently you wouldn't use remote viewing as a sole source of intelligence. So the remote viewing augments some of our other observations. Let me go first to a segment that I just did on my new channel, Crypto Viewing, which is called The Bankruptcy of the Planet. So everything that you just mentioned, and by the way, I just sent you an email. I had forecast Boris Johnson a few months ago, and we published that he would be out. I think 4-5 months ago I had that as a prediction. But yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was done in it was published April. So that was the data was collected and documented in March.
Wow.
So yeah, and published. Okay. So the planetary bankruptcy. I'll give you the. I don't want to do just a promo. You're very generous letting me promote all our things. I'll give you the elevator version. The planet is bankrupt, and what you're seeing now is the result of all that. Everything's going. Everything's going to burn. Everything's going to go back in the box. Everything's going to break down. The United States went officially bankrupt in 1999. At that point, the people who administer the world, the people who run things, they knew this was coming. It was designed, every financial system has about a 100-year lifespan. And we've known this was coming. I know you've known it, and Bix has known it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So they're going to this new system that is going to be digital, that is going to be based on blockchain technology, distributed ledger, real-time, interactive computer monitoring of everything. In 1999, that was not ready to roll out. They need to have the technology on these handheld smartphone devices that can do the calculations and transmit the data to enable everybody to do all their crypto transactions, and every, where they're going, what they're doing needs that technology. It's now here. But back in 1999, at the end of the 20th century, when they knew that they were bankrupt and it needed to switch over, they said, well, we got about 20 years to roll out this new technology, so we need to keep it afloat. So they've just been printing money. They've just been, the whole financial system, I liken it to Wile E. Coyote when he runs off the cliff, in the Roadrunner. He's like, and he's hanging in midair. And then he goes, oops, and crashes. So
all right.
We've been for 20 years, the coyote has run off the cliff and we're just spinning our legs in thin air. And now is the time, with all the headlines that you just showed us, is the time when we realize we're going to fall. Mm-hmm. So that's where we are. What's important to realize is that we are going to distributed ledger technology. The new system is going to be cryptocurrency, blockchain. So with the prices down, and don't take financial advice from me, this is not financial advice. This is a good time to get some cryptos. That's the short version. Okay. Let me explain. Who runs the world? Who runs the globe? Who's in charge of everything? I am not going to name that. They're not to be named. We don't know who they are. We don't understand them. But somebody surely created this place and put us here. We didn't develop from an amoeba that suddenly became more and more complex. We were designed. We were DNA was manipulated. We're here for a purpose. There's someone that oversees the whole thing. There is a plan. There are contracts. There are laws. It all runs very smoothly. And now is the time of the great changeover. We're about going into that. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be an amazing show to watch. It's going to be fraught with peril. So that's my view of things in a nutshell.
Very good. And let's talk about this idea of a soft landing. We keep seeing the narrative in the mainstream news. We even see it on Zero Hedge. The Federal Reserve is, looking into policy for softer landings. Is there, in your view, a soft landing to be had here, or is it going to be a hell of a rock and roll ride here as this cliff or train runs off the track here, as you were referring to Wile E. Coyote?
How would there be a soft landing of everything that you see? What all the hundreds of thousands of homeless are going to stop doing drugs and being crazy and go move into a nice apartment? The crushing debt. What is America? 30 trillion. I can't even keep up. I think it's 30 trillion in debt. All debts.
Well, that's what the numbers they've admitted to us, but
yeah,
I digress. Yeah.
So what that money is just we're going to pay that off and go back to we're not going back to the way things were. Mm-hmm. We're just not. We're going on to something new. Mm-hmm. There will be no soft landing. Who's saying there's going to be a soft landing? Joe Biden?
Janet Yellen?
Yeah, well, we believe them. Yeah, they're
Yeah, exactly. Remember when they said earlier in the year that there wasn't any inflation? And then they said, well, there's inflation, but it's transitory. And then it's like, well, there's inflation, but it's good for you, right? So now we're seeing our Canadian banks here with their same kind of narrative, where there's going to be a recession in 2023, but it's going to be short, and you barely won't feel it.
In Europe, they're now openly discussing, and Americans do not get any news from Europe. We have to have people from Europe tell us. In the news there, they're talking openly. They're referring to the Weimar Republic, which was Germany's in the 20s, when they were literally putting the paper money of the time in wheelbarrows. That you'd have to change the prices hourly, daily on a loaf of bread. So no, there's going to be no soft landing.
There's that, and also what was interesting just a couple of weeks ago, when the Fed actually raised rates, a lot of people didn't believe it was going to happen, but when they did that first, I think it was a 50 basis point raise, the first one, there was articles about returning to a Volcker era. And of course, people watching the show remember we went up to 20% interest rates, in some cases higher here in Canada. Do you see that happening, or is this changeover going to kind of bifurcate all of that? Where do you see these rates going and into this transition, moving towards this new system we're talking about here?
I don't know if I'm qualified to really comment on that. We can pull up some of that remote viewing that I did that I'm not, I suspect that's what it's about. I lived through the Volcker era. I was a young man starting out as a news broadcaster in my 20s, and I bought my first condo. There was development where they had a model and the thing was under construction, and I signed a contract saying, yeah, I'm going to buy one of those. And they gave me the interest rates and told me what my monthly payment would be. And it was like every couple of weeks they'd contact me and they'd say, well, the interest rates have changed. Instead of this much, it's this much. It kept going up, up, up. And I was just, I didn't understand the concept at that time. It's like, wait, I signed a contract with you and you're going to loan me this money. And they said, no, the bank's going to loan you the money and the cost of loaning the money is going up. I go, finish the damn thing. I won't be able to afford it by the time 6 months from now. And it literally was the case. Your monthly payments went up by the hundreds, and now it's by the thousands. So
I actually have a clip. I actually have a clip of that while you were live as a newscaster, frantically on the phone calling your bank to say, what the fuck with these interest rates? Oh my God. Can you imagine? I love that.
That's hilarious, because I got to put my glasses on to see that. We actually had a phone with a cord on the desk. That would have been, that was 1988.
Wow. Oh my God, I love reminiscing with you. Okay,
that's a great picture. I hadn't seen that one. Okay, so here's what's going to happen with the.
I'll email it back to you here. So
we have hyperinflation, or we have interest rates. So if they keep printing fake money, the hyperinflation goes ballistic. If they keep raising the interest rates, the whole thing collapses by the weight of that. So it's going to collapse. We are at the bankruptcy of this civilization. We're on the cusp of that. And if people don't see that yet, I'm sure most of the people listening to us now know that. The question is, how do you position yourself? What can you do? Call Andy Sheckman, buy cryptos, store food.
Yeah, that's why we do all these shows, to try to educate people on some of those options so that they can take the best options for themselves and their family. You just mentioned if they raise interest rates, what's going to happen, and if they continue printing money, what's going to happen. But inevitably, it all goes to shit either way. And this is what Jim Willie was saying in this last interview, guys. If you haven't seen it, he was saying that they're out of the policy options. There's no more policy options to fix the old. We're getting into a new system here at some point. The only idea is when and how hard that transition is going to be. Now, in order to figure that out, we can look at the astrology. We did a show with Bix and Julie there, but we can also use partly the remote viewing. And I wanted to bring one of the old ones. And you and I have talked about this on my first channel. I'm on my third channel now here on YouTube, but this was a remote viewing of the death of the dollars, where we had the hunched over Congress people screaming in agony, puking. How could this be? Total shock, disbelief, ruin, catastrophe. Those were all the words here. And a sense of adjourning for the last time, transfer of power. That sets the stage here for the recent one you sent me. I got the screen earlier. Do you want me to bring that on the chart now? How do you want to set this up?
Let me set it up first.
Okay.
I'm violating protocol. I shouldn't admit that I'm violating protocol, but because I like you and I really enjoy talking with you, and I really appreciate the healing that your folks did and the promoting our stuff. I've been working on a target for the past week, and I get feedback tomorrow, and it will go on our crypto viewing private site, patreon.com/crypto viewing. It'll be edited and released on Friday. So I'm really giving you a preview of this. Now, keep in mind, I was given a target ID. I've worked it enough that I know it. It's F1A9-J5 B1. P5J1. So that's all. They give us just this encrypted number. F1A9 P5 B1. And I have no idea what that is, but I do my remote viewing thing, and I've worked about 3 hours on this. So I don't know what it is. I don't know the tasking. I'll find that out tomorrow.
Gotcha.
It's sort of like being at a movie complex where there's 4 movies in different theaters, and you walk in and you can't really hear what's going on, but you look at the screen for 2 seconds, and then you go out and you sketch it, and then you go into another one. So I wanted to share with you one of the impactful moments that I saw. I've turned in my work, and the tasker has not told me anything about it, but I was told it will be an interesting debrief tomorrow. Welcome back. So I think that I was on target without knowing what it is. All right, we'll show this now.
Okay.
This is a moment. What I saw was a meeting of guys in suits in like a boardroom, and I have like 3 or 4 sketches of this. And at one moment, these guys are in the meeting. They're corporate types. They're getting very bad news, and they don't take it well. Like, this can't be. And now they're doing a blame game. Well, who was at fault? There's shock and disbelief. Then scroll down to see what else I wrote. But you knew this was coming. Recrimination, salt in the wounds. No one takes responsibility. It's out of their hands. The stakeholders, what's up with them? Where's the effing golden parachute? So I think there's a moment, and this feels like a near future target, where there are going to be a lot of corporate types realizing their corporation is done, that the monetary system is in collapse, their stocks are worthless. Now, I'm just, in a sense, I'm remote viewing right now because I'm getting signal line stuff like, okay, yeah, these are guys that their stock is now worthless, and like, how could this be? The like 1922 or 29, the stock market collapse. So I think,
talking about 1929 or those years, we had a lot of these types jump off of buildings, and it's interesting that you wrote here, where's the effing golden parachute? Yeah, there's no parachute. Wow. Unless you maybe have gold and silver somewhere somewhere else. Let's talk about that. You've been on the show many times before. I had just interviewed Bill Holter a little while back also, and he was talking about how for many years now you've been saying as best you can, get out of the old system, like remove the third party risk, divorce yourself from all of these structures that are crumbling, and then stay agile as we see the new system taking place. I think that's the overarching advice we're giving to people. But what would you say now as we're further along the track line? You've experimented 2 years ago with trying to leave the country with gold and silver and how you use crypto instead. Like, right? Explain how things change and how you have to adapt, and how perhaps the audience members also need to stay focused here on being nimble so that they can adapt through what ostensibly is occurring for the first time in the history of this planet, all of us together living the same fate.
Well, I'm a gold and silver guy. I do have some gold and silver. I liquidated some of it during the COVID thing when I fled. So I'm not going to speak ill of gold and silver. And Andy Scheckman, we do segments with him too. I love Andy Scheckman. He's the best in the business. We send business his way, and we do business with him. The problem with gold and silver is you got to store it somewhere. It's not mobile. If you're going to up and if something happens to the location where you are, where is that going to be? And I mean, I literally had an ingot of silver and a bunch of silver coins that I was lugging to my car to try to take to a place to. It's not in my house anymore. I liquidated most of it, but it's heavy. It's hard to get past borders. I mean, there was a real moment of panic when customs in Central America, this guy said, "Can you come into the office? What do you have here?" And it's like, ooh wee. Now, on the other hand, cryptocurrencies, you can have a slip of paper with a phrase on it, or you can memorize it.
You can memorize it, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I could put a remote viewing session on YouTube where, like a fake remote viewing session, where I just said, well, there's a table and there is a seminar, and there are many ways to hide your seed words.
Right.
With cryptos, you could go literally with the clothes on your back and go recreate your wallet in a new country. So cryptos are definitely more mobile. And Jean-Claude, they're designed for that. Yeah. The new digital identity, people are going to be migrating when the catastrophes happen. There's going to be earth changes. There will be fires, there will be earthquakes, there will be tsunamis, there will be bombings and war and pestilence and disease, and you name it. It's going to be happening, and there may be a time when you need to go from here to there you're wealthy in cryptos, right? I would have a wallet where you've memorized your words, so you're not carrying anything.
Right.
Or a way to access it online.
Well, access is the thing, right? And again, this whole idea of getting out of the system or removing counterparty risks, that's the beauty of owning your gold and silver. Of course, there's logistical issues with that, but crypto, you can move with it. But again, what we're seeing now is what you and me have been saying for many years. When things go bad, suddenly everybody's at the bank trying to get their money out. We're seeing this in China now. More and more. It happened here in Canada just this weekend because of the telecom outages. If you were to forecast some of this, what we're seeing now in China, these bank runs, we've seen them in other countries of the world. How close are we to actually having this in earnest, perhaps in North America? Are we days away, weeks away? Surely we're not 5-10 years away, like we were when we started talking about this in maybe 2008 or 2009. What do you think?
I think this is going to be a very challenging year, and it will get more challenging over the next 2 years. Let me do another plug, because of my remote viewing, I did a remote viewing. Oh, it's been 10 years now, I think, on a very famous historical figure that I don't want to name.
Okay.
But it was someone who was involved in a war and was supposed to have died, and he didn't die. He went.
That was a troublesome video for you, if I recall.
That got pulled.
Yeah. Watch the words.
It was troublesome in one sense, but it was good in another sense, because some individuals contacted me through a third party, just very nicely, like, "Hey, there's this author that has some friends, and they'd like to have a conversation with you. Could you do a 3-way call?" So I did, and I was told, you could use this remote viewing skill. They said some of the data in that was very accurate. We know the sketches that you drew, those locations, people have been there, and they know that that's the place and that's the story. And I was told, you have gained a very valuable skill. You've pushed your nose into like the priest class, like the wizard class, and with that comes responsibility and certain privilege, but responsibility and danger. So you need to be careful.
Yeah.
And so I've been having very interesting conversations, and some of these conversations were allowed to publish privately on crypto viewing. And I just did one that's at the founder level called, well, we just did two. It's called the Planetary Bankruptcy. It's 1 hour that explains the history behind it and why it's happening and what's happening. And we did another one on the 4th of July that talks about the sovereignty of the United States is an illusion. And Canada too. Jean-Claude, you just celebrated Canada Day, which was your like Independence Day, July 1st, I believe.
Yeah.
What was it, 1867 off the top of my head? Was that your...
The interesting thing is, yes, I was broadcasting from Ottawa, but for some reason here, pursuant to the events that happened in the spring, they've changed the location, and so our celebration is no longer a typical celebration. So a lot was happening there also, but we can't get into that too much.
Well,
here.
what you're celebrating is the powers that be giving you the illusion that you would have some parliamentary process to vote for people and have any say. Do you believe you have any say in what Trudeau does?
Don't get me started, Nick. This is not the platform.
Okay. I don't. We don't want to cause trouble, but
what do you mean it's an illusion?
The Queen owns you. You're owned by the Queen. She has a loyal title, and all the money goes to her.
Well, the pundits is suggesting changes to her role here in the last 2 weeks, so we're wondering perhaps what that means. If there's that old proverb, the cat's on the roof, it's kind of like a slow way of telling you something bad is about to happen.
Because Jean-Claude, the entire old system is going to crumble. It's not going to be administered the same way, and I'm telling you something that I know from 5 years of discussion with people who know that I don't really am not allowed to tell in public, but this entire system is going to be put back in. It's like the Monopoly game is over, and people are still moving their little, the hat and the car and the shoe. They're rolling the dice and moving it around, but they're just putting more Monopoly money to keep it going. The game is essentially over. And very soon, they're just going to sweep everything off the table and start a new game. And
I often have dreams of exactly something like that. Kids playing at a board game, and then the bully at the table just decides to flip the whole table. Like there's no more game. Right.
Jean-Claude, what if this whole thing was just a board game? What if some very advanced, highly evolved beings made this place a botanical garden and set it up like a farm and a game and seeded these various races here and just watched the show? And then let's make it more interesting by giving them a little more technology, and we'll go here and we'll go there. And
have you watched the Squid Games, by the way?
No, I should, because my wife is Korean. I actually did a remote viewing before that became popular and explained.
Well, at one point, I won't. Spoiler alert! I won't say too much here, but there's one of the characters who's caught in this game, so to speak, and it's a game for your life. And at the end of the show, we realized that he's the master of the game. And then the other guy said, well, why are you doing this? He says, well, it's more fun playing the game than just watching it from outside, suggesting that perhaps some of these players are also here in the game with us playing the game. I just thought, okay, that what's the word? Twist my noodle a little bit. I had to think about that. I'm like, oh, okay.
They are, but here we have a siren going by, if you can hear that.
Yeah.
That's a paramedic ambulance. I know them all. So, but I'll make the analogy to a chessboard.
Mm.
Some are pawns, some are knights,
Yeah.
some are bishops,
Yeah.
some are queens and kings, and they have different powers within the parameters of the board game. So there are people here on this earth with greater power and responsibility and privilege, and there are some that are just pawns, and there are some that are just like drones. I think do you think there are soulless people?
Oh, I do believe there's
Yeah.
what
They're
I would
just-
call non-player characters here
Yeah,
also.
props. We
Yeah.
call them props.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that you and I and many of the people listening here are a little higher up the hierarchy. Maybe we've done this a few times and we have a better understanding and we're more open to such ideas. But and there are realms of games that go in many levels into the spiritual realm, into other worlds.
Can I ask you a question? Okay. I've been doing this channel. I was prompted to do this channel through divine guidance. Let's call it that way. I kept getting the message, okay, you're on deck, all hands on deck, or you're live, words to that effect. And so I eventually launched this channel as the situation around the world was starting. And since that time, I was making 2-3 videos a day, every day, like really, really busy, producing a lot of content.
Yeah.
But a couple of weeks, for the first time in those 2.5 years, I went to this place for a couple of days to just relax, and I didn't do any videos. It was the first time where for a whole week, I actually didn't do any YouTube videos. And I really had time to recenter, because for the 10 years prior to me having the YouTube channel, I was basically a hermit. I was studying the whole world situation in quite a bit of detail and depth. But when I went over here, something weird happened, and this is where I want to ask you a question, because you just mentioned the multi-dimensionality of it all.
Yeah.
When I was sitting here in meditation, I saw in meditation, I was basically like in a black room, like everything's black, and there's just a little bit of lights, pins of lights, where you can kind of get a glimpse of an image. But I glimpsed an image of somebody looking at me. And then I'm like, why is that person looking at me? And then I realized at the other end of the room, there was another entity looking at the other entity that was looking at me. How do you, as I say that, and you've been in these realms before,
Yes.
What do you make of that?
Well, what that reminds me of is a phrase and a question that my mentor of the past 5 years, who is one of the keepers of all the secret knowledge, says to me, who's looking through your eyes? Like, we're here and there's somebody. Are we somebody's avatar? Mm-hmm. Are we somebody's drone? So that would be the experience that you had. And yes, I've had that too. Let me ask you this. You're driven and you put out a really good product. You do great interviews and you put out a lot of content. When you got taken down, did you just jump right back up and charge, like continue on? Because when I got my YouTube channel down, I almost said, oh man, I don't have the energy at my age to go back to try to get so many tens of thousands of subscribers. I had 5 million views, 600 videos, and I almost threw in the towel. Did you ever have a moment where, like, okay, they beat me? Or did you just jump back up and go to hell with it?
So I woke up early that morning. Okay, so twice I was deleted on YouTube and once on Patreon. And every time I was deleted, the night prior, I had this huge, difficult, arduous dream where I'm trying to convince a judge of something and my life is in the balance. So it's the same dream. And so I know when I have this dream, holy fuck, something bad's going to happen. And of course I wake up, I see a gazillion emails in my queue, JC, your channel's gone. Within 2 hours, I had the next channel up, and I was starting to create content every time. For me, it was a no-brainer. I know where I'm at now. I'm at a different age from you, of course, but I know that what I'm doing now is contributing to what you just talked about, these different layers here in this spiritual war. And I know that YouTube is also the place where I'm supposed to be. This is my allocation, or this is my mission. I'm here. Other people keep saying, "Oh, JC, just go on BitChute, go on Rumble." I know for me, the frequency I'm trying to convey, the interviews, the guests I'm trying to bring, we're here at the first offset to capture those minds that are leaking away from the matrix. The people that just stopped watching CNN last week, they don't have the reflex yet to go to Rumble or BitChute. That's for more people who are red-pilled. And so I always knew I had to continue this way. But is it a gut punch? Is it for half a second say, oh, fuck. When you see those numbers like you, 40,000, 70,000 subscribers, 15 million views or whatever it was, and then go to zero, it's definitely hard.
Have you had, I'm sure you have had people reach out to you and tell you, Jean-Claude, I listened to you for 3 years. I bought some cryptos. Okay, here comes the siren back. Let's cue the siren. Have you had people contact you and say, thank you because I bought cryptos and I know I'm going to be okay. I cashed some out and I'm rich. I contacted Andy Sheckman. I now have some gold and silver. I feel, and thanks to your...
I get that all the time. And what I'm also getting as of late, and I think people are coming to that conclusion too, that the energy field we're creating together, whether that's, doing a healing session for Dick Allgire or the conversations we're having now, that frequency field or that scalar effect we're creating is bonding a lot of maybe the Aquarians in this whole fight against the old Piscean world together, and making them realize, one, they're not alone, and two, it's giving them hope that there's a way to transition here without losing everything in the transition. So I get a lot of those emails. Wow, JC, you've kept me sane in the last 2 years by holding this community together. So I realized the importance of that and the impact of that. It does weigh heavily on me, if I could put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, the responsibility of that. You're influencing people to make a change. Like one woman on our private site said, well, I cashed out my whole 401k and put it into cryptos. I was like, oh man, you did that on something I said. She did okay. Hopefully she cashed. That was another thing. We're in the crypto down market, which it's going to come back.
We are? Okay, hold on a second, Dick. There's a couple of things. We're already 47 minutes in. I wanted to have the opportunity also to showcase this one. We've already talked about the bankruptcy one. So guys, you can go check that out on Dick's new YouTube channel. The links are in the description box below. But let's get into this. This has been a topic of interest to me. And on our pay-per-view, we've been doing specific location investigations with tarot and astrology here in the last couple of months. And we're going to get into the crop circles here in a big way. So I'm very curious here. What can you share with the audience members on this particular topic?
Okay. This presentation is going to be published tomorrow at patreon.com/cryptoviewing at all levels. So I think it's like 998 or something. We have different levels. The heavy duty, like the planetary bankruptcy, that's the highest level, founder level. But this new, and I sound like such a shill here. I hate to do this, but I've got to do it because we have a lot of good people working for us, and we need to pay their salaries.
And we have to support each other.
I sound like Alex Jones. I can't.
You don't sound anything like Alex Jones.
No, I mean, subscribe now, buy our product.
They're lightest, ladies and gentlemen.
God, I have a hard time doing that, but okay. The crop circle segment is going to be available tomorrow, Tuesday. It'll be Tuesday. What day is that? The 12th?
The 12th.
Tuesday, July 12th, at all levels, the cheapest level. And I'll tell you the story behind it.
Okay.
We're training remote viewers in the Hawaii remote viewers methodology, which is the method that I use. And we have a couple of advanced classes that have formed a working group called the Looking Glass Working Group. And every week I task them out a target. And so it was my time to get a target ready, and I had my computer open. And when you task a target, you have to have a clear mind and very crystalline intent on what that target is going to be. You can't have your computer on nothing. You can have no input so that you're direct focus to what that target is going to be. Well, I noticed this crop circle, and I thought, that's the first thing I look at. I go, that's going to be involved in the target. I can't get that out of my mind. My mind is not going to be pure, and I've got to get this cued this afternoon. So I thought, should I give that? It's kind of a little too woo-woo for validation. I looked at it, I thought, okay, that's a real field. That's a real design in a field. What the hell, I'm going to task this. So I slapped a target ID on it, and we gave it double blind, which means I gave the target ID to an intermediary. The intermediary gave that out. They didn't know they were working it for me. They didn't know anything about it. It was just a random set of letters and numbers. And the data came in, and I looked at it, and I thought, wow, I could make a presentation with that, because I think they solved the mystery. We saw it was the creation event. So it's a nice little presentation, and you'll be able to see it on Tuesday, the 12th.
On patreon.com.
Yeah. Now, okay, I don't want to give the secret away, but I'll tell you, there are different types of crop circles. There are crop circles that are extremely complex with extremely cryptic messages, and the wheat is laid down in such a way that it's like bent and fused in an unnatural way. And we have done remote viewing, and as part of the presentation where we look at one of those, let me see if I see it. It was one from 1990.
You mean something more like, you're looking more like
the
this?
one on the lower right.
This one here?
No. The golden, it had a more golden hue to it.
This one?
Like the one that. Well, it's in the presentation. It's one from about 20 years ago, and we did have an esoteric. It was a beautiful session. This current one, some of the ones I think are made with a more terrestrial way. So we look at both of those, and what's interesting about the presentation is the discussion about the remote viewing and how the remote viewing works, and it's just a 45-minute really interesting behind the scenes look at how remote viewing works and how the viewers saw this crop circle. So it's called the crop circle, and it's out on patreon.com/cryptoviewing at the lowest level tomorrow.
Very cool.
And Jean-Claude, after this has been up 6 months or 8 months, I'll bring it back and I'll play the whole thing, and I'll give you all the inside story. I really appreciate you letting me promote all this. And
well, I'm super happy to have you on as always, and I love your stuff too. So folks, please give it a try. If you don't know this stuff already, check out the YouTube first, and then go to the Patreon and support the guys there too, because we're all in this fight. We're all trying to decode this reality, and more all of us are losing our channels. Janine just lost the last channel yesterday, so we're all in this fight together. But I wanted to ask you this before we go. You mentioned when you lost this channel, like, do I have the energy to do that again? Is there a point in your path moving forward where you don't necessarily want to work as much, but maybe you want to teach? Has that come across? Because a lot of people ask me, hey, JC, how do I learn remote viewing? Where can I go for that?
We have someone that's teaching remote viewing, and the portal through that is the Patreon site. Actually, teaching is more work than doing what I'm doing. What I'm doing is not, when I teach, I've got to cue a target, and then everybody's work comes in, and I've got to collate. I've got to go through everything and give them feedback, and that to me is kind of tedious. That's work. Doing the remote viewing and doing interviews with you and doing YouTube. I get creative. I do characters. Barry Schmeling and the other characters that I do. So that's more fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to retire. what I need, and I'm sure you need, I need something that every day stimulates my sense of wonder and my curiosity.
Right.
If I can have my curiosity tweaked and my wonder tweaked, I'll work all day to get that flash of,
You're
oh,
like
this
me.
is cool,
Yeah.
Wow, I learned something. And then the journalist in me is I love telling it to people. Like, I would love to sit down with everybody listening and tell them all the private shit that I know that I can't say in private. So you
If I
need
could travel, I'd go to Hawaii to have a beer with you so we could have all this
you should
conversation.
sometime. I'll tell you what, when cryptos go up, I'll send you a ticket. And you come to the Halikoa Hotel or
If
one of
I'm
the nice
allowed to
hotels.
travel, that's the big ticker. Like even now with the
Me too.
restrictions that are removed, they're not really removed. There's still some weird shit in
we
there.
don't want to get into that.
No.
Boy, I really give that thing a bad rating. I think it was made for people my age. I'm like 69 this year. I think it was made to take us out.
What do
It
you mean?
almost
They don't
did.
have any more pension funds to pay you guys? They've raped all of those?
Yeah, they're all,
either.
those guys in the office that I drew, they're going to have a very bad moment here in the near future. And I think a lot of people are. There's going to be this, what?
The
There's
F?
nothing behind all this. It's just like, phew.
House of Cards.
Yeah.
Speaking of your characters and having fun, if you guys haven't seen this video, Dick was so cool to produce a Barry Schmeling content for my DMX Grandmaster Woo video. This was, of course, a tribute to Cliff High and all of the Woo, crypto Woo gangsters in the crowd. So go check that video. It's also in the description box below. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. Crypto Nana says, yes, love Barry. Barry Schmeling, of course, is referring to you. And Crypto Nana earlier said also, hey, Jim Willie will be appearing tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern on the Litecoin Lisa Patreon show as well. So do go over and check that out if you are one of those Jim Willie fans and Litecoin Lisa fans. Dick, before we go today, anything else you wanted to share with the audience? Anything new that's coming up in your remote viewing or your tasks that you think are going to be exciting for the audience to know about?
You know what I'd like to do with you sometime, which would really be fun? Like, we'll do an hour of an AMA, Ask Me Anything, and let your viewers and subscribers just type in questions. We should do that sometime. But basically, what's coming up? The crop circle. I can't wait to see the reveal on the way the remote viewing works is we all do our sessions blind, double blind. And so I'm going to go on camera tomorrow and they say, what's your most interesting thing? And I say, my most interesting thing is these guys in a boardroom and they're having a very bad moment where they're all yelling at each other and they're going, what? And then they reveal what the target is. And we go, oh, that's what it was. And then we do like an hour-long discussion where we present all our remote viewing data and then we have an analyst analyze it. That'll be out Friday. So we continue every week. We do remote viewing projects. We just did a segment on Polkadot.
Oh,
that
nice.
was we looked at Polkadot. And none of us saw Polkadot really rocketing up this year. We look at it as over the horizon. I think that's bad news for all cryptos. I think we're in a down market. What do you think? You think cryptos are going to be in a down market the rest of the year? Or you think they'll rocket back up in the fall?
I think there won't be a bull market in crypto until we see
regulation.
or the actual death of the dollar. That slide you just showed me from 3 years ago. Well, I think when that happens in earnest, then we have a potential for that. Right now, there's a lot of volatility. I would just say buyer beware everywhere right now, for sure.
I'll give you this is not financial advice. This is not financial advice. But I have some really good sources, and no one can predict this, but the feeling is, from the people we talk to, is that regulation, what they're doing right now is they're setting up the problem reaction solution, like, oh, this is unregulated, oh, the look what happened to the stable coins. Oh, these stable coins, it's a house of cards,
Right.
and it's unregulated. It's the wild, wild west. We need regulations. Before the regulations, they're going to use one more opportunity to pump it up, go up, 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 parabolic up, so they can skim some more off. Because every time, like last November, it went up so high and all this new money came in, and then they flushed it out and they took it. So the people that manipulated, we believe, are going to run it up one more time. So get your buy orders in now, low, and have your sell orders in high, and it will happen one more time, we think, before regulation. And I think regulation will be sometime next year.
And at any rate, again, not financial advice. In Star Trek Warfare says, today's a good day to die. Well, today's also a good day to take profits. Well, maybe not today when the prices are low, but just to say, it's not a bad thing to take profits. And just to what Dick was alluding to, we're seeing the narrative here, both on the regulation front, but also the big banks here setting up their digital currencies here in the very near future, and how this is all tied to those products, the digital ID we're talking about. Crazy world indeed we live in.
So many things are okay. That's one thing I'm doing is central bank CBDCs. Is I'm looking into the various projects. I'm going to try to get a report together on that. But so you have all these things colliding: the bankruptcy of the planet, the rise of cryptocurrencies, the debt, the interest rates, the creation of central bank digital currencies. Like, it's a race. Like, is society going to collapse before cryptos can take off? Will they bring in, at the last minute, central bank digital currencies and try to get us to all go to that? We believe the CBDCs are going to be a stepping stone to the new. The purpose of it ultimately is to get you to have a digital identity.
Yeah.
And control. So anyway, we could talk for days. Jean-Claude, I always love doing segments with you. You're such a pro.
I love having you on. Of course.
Thanks again to all the people that prayed and gave the healing energy. Folks, you literally saved my life. Yeah. So thank you. It did work.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. Of course, please do go and subscribe to Crypto Viewing, the new channel here on YouTube. The links are in the description box below, and you can find all of the amazing private work also here at patreon.com/crypto viewing. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic. Yes, please do go check Barry Smelling on the DMX parody video. And of course, you can subscribe here at BeyondMystic 3 on YouTube. I love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Aloha.